This is the story of how Christianity started in Africa. Make sure you watch until the end. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. Thank you. Long before Bishop wear golden robes under the African sun, and before church bell echoed through forest and desert, Africa had already been touched by the divine. In the northeast of Africa, by the Nile River, the people of Kush and Kemet worship many gods, but they also believe in a prophecy that a new truth and light would come through the east, spoken by people with different languages, bringing peace. This prophecy started to come true in the first century AD, when people across Roman Empire began to hear about a carpenter's son from Nazareth who preached love, healed the sick, and rose from the dead. One of the earliest story of Christianity entering Africa is found in the Bible. In the Acts of Apostles, there is a story about an Ethiopian official, a treasurer for the Queen of Ethiopia, called the Kandake, who went to Jerusalem to worship. On his way home through the desert, he met Philip, one of Jesus' first followers. Philip explained the scriptures. The man was reading and told him about Jesus Christ. The Ethiopian, who touched, "Here is water," he said. "What stopped me from being baptized?" Right there, Philip baptized him in the desert. The man returned home, not just with his royal carriage, but with a new faith in his heart. This moment, often seen as the first Christian baptism in Africa, made Ethiopia one of the first places outside the Holy Land to receive the message of Christ. Around the same time, in the big city of Alexandria in Egypt, founded by Alexander the Great and the home to the famous library, Christianity started to grow. Tradition says Mark the evangelist, one of Jesus' followers, came to Egypt around 43 AD. He preached in the markets and temples, attracting both followers and enemies. Even though Christians were persecuted, Mark's message spread. These early Christians formed the Coptic Church, which became the center of Christianity in Egypt. Alexandria became a major place for Christian learning and produced great teachers like Origen, Clement, and Ephesus, who helped shape Christian belief across the Roman world. Egypt, once known for pyramids and pharaohs, became a Christian stronghold. Monasteries were built in the desert, where men and women live lives of prayer, fasting, and study. This monastic lifestyle started in Egypt and later influenced Christianity all over the world. To the south of Egypt, where the ancient kingdoms of Nobatia, Makuria, and Alodia, today's northern Sudan and southern Egypt, by the 6th century, these Nubian kingdoms became Christian. Missionaries from Egypt and Byzantium traveled up to Nile, teaching and baptizing kings. They built stone church with murals showing saints and Bible stories. These Christian kingdoms stood strong for centuries, surviving invasions. Their churches and ruins still stand as a reminder of African Christianity. Christianity became deeply rooted in Ethiopia, a land of mountains, mites, and kings. In the 4th century, during the rule of King Ezana of Aksum, Christianity became the official religion. This happened because of two young Syrian Christians, Frumentius and Adisius, who were shipwrecked and taken to the royal court. Frumentius later became a trusted advisor and the first bishop of Ethiopia. King Ezana was baptized, making Ethiopia the second oldest Christian nation in the world after Armenia. Ethiopia's Christianity kept its African identity. Churches were carved from solid rock, worship was done in the ge'ez, and faith was linked to royal power. Ethiopian emperors claimed they were descendants of King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba. calling themselves the Lions of Judah. Even as nearby areas fell to Islamic rule, the Ethiopian Church stood firm, cut off but unshaken. They held on to their traditions for centuries, while North and East Africa met Christianity early. Most of West, Central and Southern Africa did not. Islam spread through North Africa and the Sahara, limiting Christian influence there. It was not until the 15th century, when Europeans began exploring and trading, that Christianity returned to many parts of Africa. Portuguese missionaries arrived in places like Congo, Angola, and Nigeria. In the Kingdom of Congo, King Nziga Nkuwi converted to Christianity 1491 and took the name Joai. He built churches and welcomed missionaries, hoping the faith would make his kingdom stronger. Later, rulers like Queen Nziga of Ndongo and Matamba used Christianity in their political struggle against colonization. Even though this new form of Christianity was mixed with colonial and slave trade interests, many Africans accepted the faith sincerely. They added their music, language, and traditions and started telling their own stories. By the 19th century, Christianity spread across Africa again with new strength. European missionaries, British, France, German went inland, building schools, hospitals, and churches. But African leaders also rose up and made Christianity their own. People like Samuel Ajayi Crowther, a Yoruba man once taken as a slave, became the first Anglican bishop. In South Africa, Taiwo Soga became the first black South African minister and preached about justice and unity. In Zimbabwe, prophets like Mutasha and Mapondera led African Christian movements that challenged colonial power. Christian revivals in Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, and Rwanda brought new churches, music, and hope. Today, Africa is not just a place where missionaries go, it is a place that sends missionaries out, and the continent has some of the world's fastest growing Christian populations. Africans are now leading churches worldwide and shaping Christian teachings. Christianity in Africa did not begin as a foreign religion. It started with traders, travelers, prophets, and kings spreading along Nile, growing in desert, forests, and later in revival gatherings. Africa's Christian story is not one of just receiving faith. It is one of deep transformation, and it is a story that continues in the hearts and voices of millions across the continent.